I was very, very immature. When we got married, I had this grand thing of, oh my, this is it's all gonna work out. This is how love is, and then all of a sudden, she would say something I didn't like. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
you're messing up the
figure.
picture. Anytime I felt sad, I would just buy something. And she was like, we can't afford, where are you gonna, this new TV, this new VCR, these clothes, how are we gonna pay for this? And I was like, you know what, I'm going pro, it's all gonna work. And I had this thing about just everything's gonna work out. But as long as I can get rid of the pain now, and we'll just pay later.
Yeah, I realize I should have done more homework on addiction and children of addiction because I joke now that my husband was like a dry drunk. He was addicted to everything else, sincerely, to exercise, to spending, like he'd blow his money. Activity, he always had to be doing something, like an adrenaline junkie.
Well, somebody's with Terry Crews. I think a lot of us know who he is. All you gotta do is look at the face. I always get that face from White Chicks when he's dancing to the Vanessa Carlton song in the car in that scene. That's always the number one thing that I come up with Terry Crews. But knowing his personal life, here we go. So I think Terry Crews either grew up slightly poor or maybe blue collar, but either way, once you start getting a little bit of money, I don't necessarily blame him for spending it and blowing it, because if you're not taught how to handle money as a youth, then there's no surprise there. Now, he said he would do that more so when his wife would say something that he didn't want to hear. Okay, I can relate, all right? More so for me, it was like a food. Like if I wanted to go get something to eat because I craved it, because I knew it was comfort food, as they call it. So it kind of makes sense here. But it seems that Terry also has an addictive personality. And for right now, it seems that he's into good things. Like, if all of us have seen him with his body, and who hasn't seen his body type? I think I'm a secure man to say it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jay's even a secure man to say that Terry Crews is a good looking man, okay? But, yeah, he's working out. He's definitely putting his effort and his addiction into good things. Except for the spending, of course, and he likes to stay busy, alright? So, but on his wife's side, if you don't know the kind of person you are with, then, yeah, it's definitely going to come as a shock, okay? The longer you're with a person, and Jay always touts this, that you get to learn their seasons, and you get to have a fuller perspective on the person as a whole, and that could only help. Again, it could go positive or it could go negative, because once you realize the person, who they really are, you make the decision. Okay, this is the majority or everything that I want in a person, but it could also go the other way. It's like, okay, I know this person and I don't see myself sharing my life any further than now. So that's always a risk. But with Terry, this was definitely shocking to me, because of course, like most of us, we've only known him on TV, and I see him as a great personality, always has a great smile, always having a good time. But just knowing this, I don't fault him for it, alright? This is his coping mechanism. Again, blowing his money. If you're not taught early on, I'm not gonna hate him for that. I've done that too. When I started getting a little bit of money, and maybe I saw something I wanted, and the worst thing that could happen, they didn't talk about it, but credit cards and credit, okay? You buy now, pay later, oh, forget about it. That's probably the easiest way to get into debt, because you're not thinking about later on. You're thinking about, oh, I can get this now and worry about it later, which is what they were talking about. If that's the kind of person you are, please stay away from credit cards, okay? Because you're only going to get yourself in the hole. And that's not good, especially later on when you're an adult and you finally find the person, the love of your life, and you want to build something together. Guess what? It may take credit. You want to know how you get a house? They check your credit. A car loan? They check your credit. So you kind of get the idea. please spend as much time as you can together, figure out who they are, and figure out if the things that you don't like, is that enough not to be with them? It'll only benefit you. Trust us.
Okay, so listening to this clip, it reminds me of someone who either is going through depression or having a bad day, and they either like to drink or like to eat their feelings. That's what it reminds me of. And at that time when he was trying to go pro, I don't believe the NFL had those seminars that talk about money and how to protect yourself and all that type of stuff like they do now. So that's why a lot of athletes, once they retire or they're out of the whatever league they're in, they go broke pretty fast. So it's like something I always tell my kids: as soon as you find a job, there's 3 things I want you to do. Open a checking account, a Roth IRA, and a high yield savings account. 3 things I need you to do. When it comes to him having this habit, and yes, I don't know how long they were together before they got married, and she started to see his habits. But like I said, you need to see people through all their seasons. And I always say at least be with someone for 2 years so you can kind of see how they are. Because you can only be fake or show your representative for so long before you just start being yourself. So it's like I told my wife before we got married, there's 2 things I need you to know so you can decide if you want to stay or get married or not. And I discussed this with her recently just to confirm that I did say these things. And she was like, yeah, you told me. I said, okay, cool. Because you don't want to surprise someone after you're married and then you feel stuck or you feel like you've been lied to. And buying a VCR, I'm like, dang, that sounds like such a long time ago, a VCR. But yeah, I'm the type of person, I'm not going to waste my money. I'm thinking about buying a new Madden game. I don't want to spend $70 on a Madden game. Granted, I got cash back on my credit cards, but I don't want to spend that, even though it would be technically free. But I don't want to spend that kind of money on a game. But still, neither here or there. But yeah, it's knowing the person, what their vices are, and she started to see a pattern of what he wanted to do every time they got into, or she said that something he didn't like. I don't think he ended up going pro, I believe, or if he did, he wasn't in the league that long. I think he was in the league, but he wasn't there that long. I think he got hurt. So you're not going to know how your life is going to go after that. 'Cause I'm sure he didn't plan on acting initially. 'Cause I think he got to start in Training Day, if I'm not mistaken. You see him at the end of the movie where Denzel goes off and, King Kong ain't got nothing on him type of thing, right? So you don't know, and I always say, this is something I've always said, always have a plan A, B, C, and D, because whatever you might have planned, God might have another plan for you. So you just never know. So I don't really just throwing your money away just because you have an argument or your wife say something that you don't like. So I didn't understand that aspect of it, and I don't know what the conversations were like during that time period either. But that's something I can't get with. Now, if my wife was like someone like, yeah, I'm spending money all willy-nilly just because you said something I didn't like or we got into an argument, that wouldn't make any sense. So that's more of a deeper thing that you will have to work on if you're going through something like that.